Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in less than 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. Thanks so much for listening. Today, a lot going on. A big deal meeting could happen with North Korea. Tariffs are officially in place, and what to know before you travel for spring break. Plus, a Netflix deal for the Obamas, a Weight Watchers meal kit, and daylight saving time. All that and much more in less than 10 minutes. I'm Erica Mandy. It's Friday, March 9th. You ready? Let's do this. Today, we start with a pretty unexpected invitation. North Korea's leader, Kim Jong-un, invited President Trump to meet. Remember, these are two guys who not that long ago traded threats of war and called each other pretty harsh names. But earlier this week, we did mention that South Korea officials passed the message along that maybe this could happen. And now they say it did. The New York Times reports President Trump RSVP'd yes, and at least one South Korean official said the meeting could happen within just a couple of months. The plan? Talk about North Korea getting rid of nuclear weapons. The South Korean president reportedly credits President Trump's max pressure on this issue and the rest of the world's solidarity for helping make it happen. But let's just say there are still some doubts. To be continued. It was a big week because, as expected, President Trump also went ahead with the planned tariffs on steel and aluminum. And now we have a few more details about what that will actually look like. The metal tariffs will go into effect soon, just 2 weeks from now, on March 23rd. Canada and Mexico not included, at least not immediately. Yes, America's neighbors were left off the list for now. They're all already negotiating trade because of NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement. But for every other country, even U.S. allies, tariffs are coming later this month, which will make it more expensive for U.S. companies to buy those metals from those other countries. For steel coming into the U.S., it'll now have a 25% tax. For aluminum imports, it's 10%. President Trump says it's to deal with unfair trade and boost the industry in the U.S. But apparently, the tariffs will be flexible. So depending on what each country does, the president says the tariffs could go up or down or disappear just for that country. Some fellow Republicans, including House Speaker Paul Ryan, are not happy about it. They think it could lead to a trade war and or job losses in other industries in the U.S. By the way, around the same time, 11 other countries signed a different trade deal altogether. That's the Trans-Pacific Partnership that President Trump walked away from. Reuters reports that deal, without the U.S., actually lowers the tariffs between those countries. It's reportedly one of the world's largest trade agreements. There's a new gun control bill that could become law in the state of Florida, but it depends on the governor there. This week, state lawmakers passed a bill and put it on the governor's desk. Now they're waiting to see what he does, either sign it or veto it. He hasn't decided. The governor says he's going to read the bill first, and today he'll talk with families of the 17 people killed in the school shooting in Parkland, Florida. ABC News reports if the governor signs the bill, it'll do several things, including 1, raise the minimum age to buy rifles in Florida from 18 to 21. 2, ban bump stocks, which can basically turn some guns into machine guns. And 3, allow what's being called a guardian program. That means school employees and teachers could be allowed to carry handguns if they go through law enforcement training and the school district agrees to it. There are other things in the bill as well, like mental health programs for schools. We'll see what the governor does. Remember, this is the same state where surviving students have been pushing for more gun control. If you're going to Playa del Carmen for spring break, listen up. The State Department is warning Americans not to travel there, and it's actually banning government employees from going there altogether. Playa del Carmen is known as a resort town and a really popular place for Americans to go on spring break. But there was an explosion on a tourist ferry there last month, and just last week, law enforcement found another explosive device on a different tourist ferry. The State Department says it still has credible information about a security threat there in Playa del Carmen. Now, that said, there's no sort of travel warning for Cancun, Mexico City, or Los Cabos. All right, other things people may be talking about today. Bitcoin. It didn't have a great week. The price of Bitcoin dropped below $10,000. Why? Well, one reason is possible government regulation. CNBC says the Securities and Exchange Commission, or SEC, now says cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin should register with the agency. And it's unclear right now what exactly that could lead to. Investors aren't a fan of uncertainty, but some like the idea of potentially fewer scams and compromised accounts. false news apparently spreads faster than the truth. And I'm talking about the stuff that is completely made up. Researchers in Massachusetts found false political headlines spread faster on Twitter than any other type of news, that it takes the truth about 6 times longer to reach the same number of people. And the researchers even checked who was responsible. It turns out it's actual humans, not just bots. The reason is probably because false news tends to be more shocking or novel. So before you retweet, you may want to check where the info actually came from and make sure you trust the source. The Obamas and Netflix are talking. A deal may be going down. The New York Times cites sources saying talks are happening. No, wait, advanced negotiations are happening between Netflix and the Obamas. That Netflix might pay the former president and first lady for some sort of show, a series that deals with issues or tells inspirational stories. There aren't many details just yet, and keep in mind, the deal is not final. It would give the Obamas a big platform, though, to speak directly to their audience. Stay tuned. Weight Watchers has a new plan. Meal kits. You know, a box with ingredients ready for you to cook? Like Blue Apron is another company that does it. Bloomberg reports Weight Watchers will sell these new quick prep kits in grocery stores and is partnering with an LA area celebrity chef, Eric Greenspan. Weight Watchers will also start selling kitchen tools. It's all part of a plan to expand and build more of an overall healthy lifestyle brand. No word yet on how much the meal kits will actually cost or exactly when they'll be available, but more details are expected next week. It's that time. Get ready to spring forward. Daylight saving time is this weekend. So yes, that means you'll move your clock forward 1 hour and lose an hour of sleep Saturday night into Sunday morning, technically at 2 a.m. Sunday. But perhaps you'll like the fact that the sun will be out later into the evening after the change. While it's good to know, let's be real, you probably don't actually have to change that many clocks anymore. Maybe the microwave and maybe the car. This year, the whole daylight savings concept turns 100. And get this, the state of Florida wants to keep daylight saving time around all year long. State lawmakers there passed the so-called Sunshine Protection Act, and it's on its way to the governor to sign. It's still a question mark if he'll sign it. But either way, there's a little problem. The New York Times says it's not really allowed. Only the federal government, like Congress, has that kind of authority. States can only opt out of daylight saving time, like Arizona and Hawaii did, but they're technically not allowed to opt in to keep it for good. We'll see if that changes. March Madness is almost here. Selection Sunday is this Sunday, March 11th. That's when the NCAA says which 68 teams get to be in on the action. And games begin next week. For anyone not into sports, March Madness is when men's college basketball teams compete in a tournament to become this year's national champions. It's when you'll hear people talking about their brackets, predicting who will win each game until the final game, when one team will become victorious. Feel free to predict winners based on skills or uniform color. And that's it. You were all caught up. Thanks so much for listening. I would love to connect with you on Instagram. And heads up, I just changed the username. It's now Erica Mandy News, or you can just search The Newsworthy. Be sure to find me and say hello. And don't forget to subscribe to The Newsworthy wherever you listen. You can always read more about any story that caught your attention today. I provide links to all the articles in today's show notes on thenewsworthy.com. That's thenewsworthy.com. Just from the homepage, click episodes and then find today's date. The Newsworthy is ready for you every day, Monday through Friday by 4 a.m. Eastern Time. I'll be back with more news on Monday. Have a great weekend.